The 14th of August 1943, 0710 hours. Near Regensburg in southern Germany, a thin mist hangs over the fields as the sun rises behind scattered clouds. At 10,000 feet, the cold bites every exposed inch of skin. The sky shakes with the heavy roar of twin Allison engines. A flight of P-38 Lightnings cuts through the morning air, fast, steady, hunting. Lieutenant Mark Hale checks his mirrors. German fighters are climbing from the west. More shapes rise from the east. The radio crackles under the pressure of overlapping voices. Someone shouts, "Bandits, multiple, closing fast." The first burst of German cannon fire snaps past the canopy. White streaks cut the air. Hale banks right, then pulls hard left. The P-38 vibrates under the strain. Its twin tails slice the sky as he rolls into position behind a Messerschmitt. His wingmen dive ease below, creating a second line of attack. One Lightning from above, one from below, a trap. Machine guns thump. Tracers reach across the sky. The German pilot brakes right, then left, confused by pressure coming from two angles. Hale sees the moment of panic. He fires again. The enemy fighter bursts into smoke. The sky is only getting louder, only getting more crowded. And the story of how the P-38 reached this moment is far bigger than one battle. If you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. The P-38 Lightning began with a clear demand from the United States Army Air Corps in the late 1930s. American leaders needed a high-altitude interceptor able to climb fast, fly far, and strike hard. Europe was sliding toward war. Air power was evolving at a rapid pace. The United States wanted a fighter that could challenge enemy aircraft before they reached American shores or Allied positions. Lockheed engineers, led by Hall Hibbard and a young Clarence Kelly Johnson, formed a small team to respond. Their goal was simple: build a fighter with long range, high speed, and strong firepower. Their solution was unusual for the time. Two engines instead of one, a central pod for the pilot. Twin booms for strength and stability. The shape looked strange, but every line had a purpose. The P-38 carried to Allison V-1710 engines that let it climb above 30,000 feet. Top speed passed 400 miles per hour in later models. Its firepower was unmatched. One 20mm cannon and 4.50 caliber machine guns sat together in the nose. There was no need for wing convergence. What the pilot aimed at, he could hit with tight accuracy. The aircraft served many roles: interceptor, escort, fighter bomber, reconnaissance platform. Its range made it valuable in the vast Pacific. Its altitude performance made it useful in Europe. Pilots noticed its powerful climb and steady handling. Commanders saw a flexible weapon that could support many operations. The Lightning emerged because American planners wanted an aircraft that could shape the air war before it even began. Early tests revealed problems. The P-38's tail could shake during high-speed dives. Compressibility issues appeared around 420 miles per hour. Control stiffened. Pilots sometimes misjudged recovery altitude. Training reports noted sudden loss of elevator authority. One mechanic wrote, "The plane drops fast. Too fast. No lift left for the pilot to feel." New pilots struggled with engine management. Two engines meant twice the workload. Incorrect throttle use led to uneven power. During 1941 and 1942 training, several aircraft were lost in accidents. Crews reported mixture set too rich or too lean. Students needed nearly 40 additional training hours to master the Lightning compared to single-engine fighters. Early field commanders misunderstood its strengths. Some expected the P-38 to outturn nimble fighters. Others used it at low altitude, where turbochargers offered less advantage. German pilots mocked the Lightning at first. One Luftwaffe officer wrote, "It is big, it is loud, it is not a threat." Combat losses in the first months added pressure. Crews sent messages noting electrical issues in cold weather and canopy fog at altitude. Engineers continued to refine systems, but rumors grew fast. Some pilots believed the airplane was too heavy. Some believed it was too complex. The Lightning needed time, discipline, and new tactics before it could reveal its true power. As experience grew, pilots learned how to handle the aircraft correctly. They discovered that its real strength was energy fighting. The P-38 could climb faster than most Luftwaffe aircraft above 20,000 feet. Its speed in a dive, once understood and managed, created escape windows that saved lives. Crews learned to use dive recovery flaps and new procedures. They kept control surfaces lighter. They recognized compressibility signs early. The long range of the Lightning changed escort missions. It could fly over 1,000 miles with drop tanks. This let it cover bombers deeper into enemy territory. German fighters could not match that range. The P-38's concentrated nose guns produced tight shot patterns that stayed accurate past 500 yards. Pilots used boom and zoom tactics. They attacked from above, fired a short burst, and climbed away. Twin engines gave the Lightning a unique advantage. If one engine failed, the aircraft could still return home. Pilots respected this. It saved many crews over the Channel and the Pacific. Eventually, German pilots began to fear the P-38 for another reason. In coordinated groups, the Lightnings could approach from opposite directions. The enemy faced fire from two axes at once. Confusion grew. Mistakes followed. By 1943, the Lightning had moved from misunderstood machine to a respected tool. Its strengths were clear: power, range, firepower, flexibility. On the 10th of October, 1943, a formation of B-17s moved toward Munster. 30 P-38s flew ahead and along the sides. Weather shifted fast. Thin clouds rolled in. Visibility dropped. The escorts tightened their formation. German radar units tracked the bombers and scrambled nearly 40 fighters to intercept. Captain James Browning led the Lightning Group. He understood the risks. If German fighters broke the escorts apart, the bombers would fall one by one. He ordered his units to split into two layers, one high, one low. Both on the left flank, where enemy fighters usually entered. The first German attack came from the right instead. Focke-Wulf 190s dove through the clouds at high speed. Browning heard the first warning, right side. 10 incoming. The high layer of P-38s rolled and crossed the center. The low layer climbed. The movement created to attack vectors. The German pilots pulled away from the upper group, only to face gunfire from the lower group. One German pilot shouted, "Braking left, more Lightnings ahead." In less than 5 minutes, 6 German fighters fell. The rest retreated to form again. The bombers reached their target with fewer losses than expected. Browning's strategy spread through the escort community. To direction attacks became a signature tactic. In Italy on the 23rd of January 1944, during the Anzio landings, a flight of 12 Lightnings patrolled the coast. Fog covered the water. Allied ships fired at targets inland. German aircraft launched from northern fields to strike the invasion fleet. Lieutenant Carlo Reese saw them first. 9 bandits. Low altitude. Moving fast toward the transports, the P-38s formed an arrow shape and began descent. The Germans attempted to break left in a shallow climb, hoping the heavy Lightnings could not follow. Reese's group split. 4 Lightnings stayed low. 8 climbed and came from above. The German formation had no clear escape path. Tracers lit the sky. Cannon shells burst near the water. Reese close to 200 yards. He fired a short burst. His target dropped smoke and plunged into the sea. Another engagement formed near the beach. 2 German pilots tried to lure the P-38s into a turning fight. The Americans refused. They stayed in vertical maneuvers. Fast climbs and sharp dives decided the fight. When the battle ended, 5 German aircraft were destroyed. The landing force continued operations with few air threats. On the 20th of March 1944, near the Austrian border, a long-range reconnaissance mission for P-38s to photograph rail networks. The sky was clear. Snow covered the mountains. The pilots flew at 28,000 feet to avoid ground fire. German air controllers detected them and directed a squadron of Bf-109s to intercept. The P-38s had film cameras loaded and limited fuel. Fighting meant risk, but escape was not easy. The Germans climbed fast. Their leader radioed, "We have them." For aircraft, they cannot run long. Captain Owen Miller commanded the Lightnings. He ordered the aircraft to continue the mission, while he and his wingmen turned to engage. They descended slightly to gain speed. Miller positioned himself above the German formation. His wingmen stayed below. As the enemy approached, Miller began a shallow dive. The Germans climbed toward him. They focused on the upper threat and ignored the lower Lightning. Miller fired first. His round struck ABF-109, sending it into a spin. The German formation scattered. The lower Lightning fired into the confusion. German voices filled the radio. To many angles. Pull back. The remaining fighters broke off. The recon aircraft completed the mission and returned with clear photographs of rail lines and supply depots. Command staff used the images to plan attacks in the following weeks. The two-direction tactic saved both the mission and the pilots. These encounters show how the P-38, once doubted, gained a reputation for controlled power. It shaped battles with speed, altitude control, and coordinated teamwork. The P-38 became one of the most produced American fighters of the war. More than 10,000 units were built. Factories in California operated day and night. Crews assembled engines, control surfaces, and turbochargers with tight schedules. Combat units needed replacements fast. Fuel load, ammunition supply, and spare parts shaped operations. A typical long-range escort sortie consumed hundreds of gallons of fuel. Gunners loaded thousands of .50 caliber rounds for each mission. The Lightning supported deep bombing raids when other fighters lacked the range. It escorted bombers far into France and Germany before P-51 units arrived in large numbers. It performed reconnaissance missions that mapped enemy roads, bridges, and factories. Allied planners used these images to coordinate strikes. German aircraft production struggled to match losses. Fuel shortages hit the Luftwaffe. By 1944, pilot training hours dropped. The P-38's long reach pressured enemy defenses by forcing German units to defend more territory with less strength. German pilots began to develop strong reactions to the Lightning. Some called it the fork-tailed devil. Others simply avoided engaging it, unless they had clear altitude advantage. Diaries recovered after the war held short remarks. "The twin tail means trouble." Another pilot wrote, "If they come from two sides, brake early or you will not escape." The aircraft's appearance contributed to fear. Its size and noise gave an impression of force. Its concentrated nose guns delivered tight bursts that tore through armor plates and fuel lines. German crews who survived attacks remembered the sudden shape of the twin booms closing in. Allied pilots felt confidence in the aircraft. They trusted the engines. They trusted the range. They trusted the ability to bring them home even with one power plant dead. The psychological effect worked on both sides, late evolution and final form. Late war variants improved speed, altitude capability, and reliability. The P-38J introduced better intercoolers and stronger engines. The P-38L carried rockets and bombs for ground attack missions. Dive recovery flaps reduced compressibility danger. Electrical systems improved for cold weather operations. Pilots gained heated suits to reduce fatigue, high altitude. Tactics shifted too. Escorts flew in layered groups. Recon units flew solo or in pairs at extreme range. Ground attack squadrons used skip bombing and low-level strikes. The Lightning adapted to each role without losing its core strengths. By 1945, the P-38 reached its most refined form. It became a proven multi-role aircraft that served across continents and climates. The P-38 Lightning destroyed thousands of enemy aircraft across multiple theaters. It escorted bombers for countless miles. It completed critical reconnaissance missions that shaped Allied strategy. Losses were real, but survivability remained high compared to many fighters. Many pilots returned home because the Lightning brought them back on one engine when no other fighter could. It began as a strange, experimental design. It ended as a respected machine that earned its place in aviation history. A German veteran once said, "If you see the twin tail and hear the engines, stay away or you will not return." The legacy of the P-38 is simple. It became the fighter that turned doubt into respect through power, range, and relentless precision.